So do you want to agree first, or you want to argue? What do you feel like?
Folks have liked the arguing now that you've been totally slam dunked on the Gavin Newsom podcast. Idiocy.
Well, that's what I want to argue with. That's what I want to argue about, because people are onto this guy. Now he's had Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk. Who else? What was the other conservative? He's had a trio of conservatives on. Who's the third?
Because I do have a caveat. I do have an asterisk or an asterisk, as they say.
Are you caving?
No,
are you caving, Chuck Schumer?
Not at all. Because here's the thing. Let's see. And I wonder if this is a devious game by Governor Hairgel, because I am great with it, and you should be too, as long as the guests who appear on that show are awesome. Fantastic communicators who are going to win the arguments by any objective measure. Now, and I don't know who an example would be. I wouldn't insult anybody, but if somebody winds up going on that show and getting owned by Gavin Newsom because they're not a real good communicator,
it's not about who owns who. No, you're missing the whole point. Let me tell you why you've missed the big picture. And here's Axios. Newsom leads Democrats into the MAGA lion's den. He's daring. He has rankled the Democrat base by hosting a trio of hardline MAGA voices for the first 3 episodes.
Who's the third?
Let me look here. Charlie Kirk,
right?
Michael Savage.
What?
He's had Michael Savage. Oh yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay. Stop.
Michael Savage, Charlie Kirk.
Sit tight.
I'm telling you.
Let's help people out. Let's help people out who may not know who Michael is.
Who doesn't know who Michael is?
Dude, Michael Savage has not been front of mind in talk radio for 20 years.
I don't think that's fair. I think he's around. I mean,
well, please, really?
I don't know that's true. I know he's a prominent conservative radio host.
Not anymore, and he is also, and oh, good Lord, now you're dragging me into this. I don't know how this one's going to go, because he is also a joyless scold of a man.
Oh, Mark, don't start. Now we're going to argue about another thing. The guy's a delight. I love this guy.
Personally over dinner, maybe, but
he's hysterical.
Unlike, that's
he's hysterical. Here we go.
A knee slapper every day on that show. Are you kidding me?
I mean, Mark Levin isn't a knee slapper, but so what? They're passionate.
Levin.
I love the guy.
Levin actually does have a sense of humor. I mean, it's not a kind of a self-deprecating you and me style thing, but Levin.
No, I know.
I would love it if Newsom invited Levin, and I'm not predicting that one's not going to go well.
Well, let me read what Axios is saying. In a discussion with MAGA, Charlie Kirk broke with his party, owned up to the dumbest boneheaded move of my life, dining maskless indoors. He's trying to rehabilitate himself, Mark, and he's using the podcast to do it. With conservative radio host Michael Savage, Newsom slammed California's slow vote counting process. He complimented Tucker Carlson. With Steve Bannon, he gave Bannon ample time to promote his economic populist views. Yes. And then it goes on to say he is widely expected to run for president in 2028. So what? You're rehabilitating the guy.
He will still be wrong on every issue. Why are you running scared?
I'm not running scared.
Gavin Newsom. I don't fear him. I am confident in the superiority of our views. And if he wants to welcome some of our people to make our superior points, that is nothing but a good thing. Look what you and I do for a living. Why do you also being additionally scared of Gavin Newsom?
Nobody's scared of Gavin Newsom. Knock it off.
I hear you quivering. Why do you
I'm not quivering in the slightest.
Recoil?
I'm quivering at your obstinance here.
Why do you also recoil from the specter of vigorous debate? You and I are.
I love vigorous debate. The guy's the governor of California, who's likely going to be a formidable Democrat candidate. Yeah. Why do you want to platform him? Why? You know what?
Because
let him be in obscurity.
Country, and I mean, judge what I mean.
Oh, it's a free country. Oh, is it free speech, Mahmoud? Is it free speech? Yeah, it's a free.
Actually, this one is.
Is it?
I love it.
Well, it's not. Look, it's not. I'm not talking about a rights thing. I'm just saying, don't go on his show. Don't give him the time of day, and don't platform him because he's winning people over. People in the middle, people who are not as. See, you're playing to your own bubble. You're in your own bubble. You're not thinking about independents, people in the middle who are going to say, "What? We got to win, Mark."
Of course.
It's about winning, not about good radio, not about good broadcasting.
But maybe it is flip sides of the same coin, because as Gavin Newsom talks to Charlie Kirk and talks to Steve Bannon, I don't know how the Savage thing is going to go, but in those particular examples,
went great.
You are concerned about people, just sort of the mushy middle. Go, oh, okay, I'll listen to
Yeah,
this.
I'm concerned about him winning.
Concerned that they will watch this and think, wow, this Gavin Newsom guy,
he's not so bad.
He might be pretty okay. All right, let's.
Because by the way, let me stipulate, because he's gaslighting. He's not a moderate. He's not pro Steve Bannon. He doesn't want to be polite to Republicans.
We're going to learn that in his presidential campaign, and we're going to light him on fire. But let me finish my point, if I may, and that is for every person who watches the Gavin Newsom and Charlie Kirk, Gavin Newsom and
Michael Savage,
Bannon, or whatever. For everybody that watches those, for every person who goes, well, the Gavin Newsom guy might not be so bad. I think there are two people, again, defining them as people coming in with no agenda, just kind of who will hear Charlie Kirk and hear Steve Bannon and go, those guys are geniuses. I think that number is bigger. It's a win.
That's a gamble.
Win.
That's a gamble. That's a roll of the dice. And if he winds up being president, first of all, I'll blame you. On our MyPillow text line, they're great talking points. It's like an instant focus group for a talk show host like me. Bill in Pittsburgh says, Donald Trump became wildly popular largely because of all the free airtime he received. We should not participate in the elevation of any Democrat like Gavin Newsom. They said they wanted to find a Democrat counter to Joe Rogan. And by Republicans going on Newsom's podcast, we're giving them exactly what they want. I think we're giving Gavin Newsom what he wants. I don't fault anybody who accepts an invitation, although I will confirm if I were to be invited, sorry, not going to go on Gavin Newsom's podcast, because he's the guy that I think could be a formidable opponent. And as a Republican, I want to win in 2028. I want J.D. Vance. I want Ron DeSantis. I don't know, Marco Rubio. I want a Republican to stay in the Oval Office after Trump's term. And I am convinced that Gavin Newsom is playing a game. He wants voters, and that's all he's focused on right now, future voters, to consider him a guy who's moderate, who reaches across the aisle, who gets along with others. Look, Pete Buttigieg has announced he's not going to run for Senate in Michigan. I don't even know why he'd run for. He's not even from Michigan. Is he? Pete Buttigieg, the South Bend mayor turned transportation secretary? Would he be a formidable opponent? Well, I think it's night and day between Gavin Newsom and Pete Buttigieg. Newsom checks all the boxes. And this is not a free speech or a rights issue. Look, you want to have a podcast. But the Democrats are in free fall when it comes to their messaging. They don't have a plan to counter all of this Republican success. And this is what comes with the territory. You know, earlier in the week, Democrats were crowing that they were going to block Trump's agenda by not voting for this CR. When this passes tonight, thanks to Chuck Schumer's epic cave, we're going to be able to completely eliminate the Biden imprint on America. And it's complicated. I heard Marsha Blackburn the other day on a talk show explain it brilliantly. You got to do step A before you can get to step B. And I know there's red meat MAGA conservatives who say, oh, no, let's shut it all down, burn it all down, let's not. No. You still got to play the game a little bit. You still got to, and you know me, I'm not an establishment guy. Trump, I know for a fact, did not want a government shutdown. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, did not want a government shutdown. Republican leadership did not want to have a government shutdown. The media was going to blame us. The media was going to blame Trump. Now, the counter argument was powerful. A government shutdown could have really benefited Donald Trump and the Trump agenda. A whole bunch of people who were laid off for the shutdown weren't coming back as part of DOGE, getting rid of waste and abuse and fraud. But you have to appreciate that the Democrats don't know where to turn. Well, they might turn to Gavin Newsom, but they right now are only capable of being in a crazy blind rage. We all know how much they loved Elon Musk a few years ago. We all know how enamored they were with electric vehicles a few years ago. Now they're firebombing them. Incidentally, Pam Bondi made a big announcement this morning on Fox and Friends. She seems to be a regular over on Fox News these days, but I'm glad the U.S. Attorney General announced there have been arrests made with regards to those Tesla terrorist attacks. These are domestic terror attacks. Tesla's being attacked on the political front. These are domestic terrorists. And I trust they'll spend a lot of years in jail. But here was what Jesse Waters said. He sums up the lost path that the Democrats are on. They're flailing about. They don't know what to do.
A couple years ago, Musk was saving the planet. He was going to other planets, and he was in love with the Democrats. They were both in love. And then they had this horrible breakup. But Musk says he didn't change. They changed. He was always about free enterprise and free speech. They went full wacko. They tried to transition one of his kids. And then he buys Twitter and realized that they were censoring everybody. And then he sees Trump get shot. It kind of gives him a political awakening, and he goes all in. And Trump gets elected. He comes in. He wants to make the government more efficient at great expense to himself and his company, and finds out the Democrats are stealing from the government. So he caught him censoring you, and then he caught him stealing from you, and he's humiliated them. This is not your average breakup. This is like you hit him where it hurts. And now the Democrats don't have the emotional intelligence to kind of reconcile this breakup, so they just oppose everything in a blind rage.
That's a perfect way to sum it up. They're just in a blind rage. Elon Musk, we had the guy yesterday. I kept him on for 9 minutes. The guy who's infuriated at Elon Musk. Why? Why do you hate him so? He couldn't articulate an answer other than he just hates the guy. They hate the guy because he used to be on their side and now he's on Team Trump, and they despise that. It's only tribalism. That's all it is. And they're frustrated, and they're flailing. When Jesse says Democrats don't have the emotional intelligence to reconcile the breakup, oh, I know a guy who does. He's got a podcast now, and he's the failed governor of the failed state of California. And Mark Davis and I, boy, we got into it today. I love the guy. Mark's one of my dearest friends. Occasionally, we disagree. I want to play for you what he said about why he thinks the Gavin Newsom podcast is splendid and great and wonderful, and why I think it's a very, very bad idea for us to play footsie with Gavin Newsom. We're going to have to beat this guy probably in 2028, and this isn't helping.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.